1942, the Pacific War is raging. The Japanese army, battle-hardened and relentless, is pushing through the dense jungles of New Guinea. Their goal, capture Port Moresby and threaten Australia itself, the only thing standing in their way. A ragtag group of Aussie civilians, farmers, postmen and shopkeepers, who barely knew how to hold a rifle. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? Well, not quite. This was the Kokoda Track, a treacherous 96-kilometre jungle trail through mountains, rivers and endless mud. The Japanese, short on supplies and expecting an easy victory, found themselves in a nightmare. They were starving, exhausted and, believe it or not, reduced to eating grass to survive. And then came the Australians, lightly armed and vastly outnumbered. They had one thing on their side: home field advantage. Oh, and sheer Aussie stubbornness. But the Aussies weren't fighting alone. The US 5th Air Force, with its powerful P-38 Lightning fighters, dominated the skies, striking enemy positions and keeping vital supply lines open. The Aussies didn't fight fair, they fought smart. Using hit-and-run tactics, ambushes and the unforgiving jungle itself, they made every Japanese advance a living hell. Every step forward for the enemy meant another ambush, another grueling battle, another night without food. The once mighty Japanese forces were breaking. By November 1942, the impossible had happened. The Japanese, too weak and demoralized to continue, were forced into a full retreat. Against all odds, a band of so-called amateurs had stopped one of the world's most feared armies in its tracks. It was the first time Australian forces fought on home territory and stood their ground without direct British support. It became a defining moment in Australian military history, proving their resilience and independence on the world stage. The Battle of Kokoda wasn't just a victory, it was a turning point. Military historians now recognize Kokoda as the moment when the tide of war in the Pacific shifted. Had the Japanese broken through and taken Port Moresby, Australia itself could have been at risk. Without this victory, the US might have been forced to fight its way back from the American coastline. So next time you hear someone say, "It's impossible," just remind them of the farmers and postmen who stopped an invasion. Subscribe for more tales of courage, chaos, and the unexpected twists of history.